Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. So y'all, it is currently like 1:30 in the morning on Tuesday, March the 15th. So yesterday was such a blur. It was a good day, but it was just a busy day. And so I went to work. I got off of work. I went to one of my part-time jobs. When I left there, I met my cousin Constance and we did some brainstorming about something that we're working on together. Once we got done there, I came home. I jumped on a call with the owner of my second part-time, chopped it up with him for a little bit. And somewhere in between that last phone call that I had and now, I took a nap. I don't even know what time I fell asleep. I mean, I'm sure I could look back at like my last text message and kind of figure it out from there, but your girl was tired. So I literally hopped up. I was still in my work clothes when I fell asleep. I literally hopped up, did a little something like make sure my hair was decent. So yeah, it looked decent. Threw on some lip gloss, and now I'm recording this video because I know if I don't record this video today, I'm gonna be pushing it to get it out by Wednesday. So today's video is completely unplanned. I am gonna talk about something that has been like a theme amongst my friends and something that I've been thinking about a lot recently. But other than that, like, I'm just going off the top. So what I want to talk about a little bit today is our spiritual journeys. And this has been something that, like I said, it has been the topic amongst my friends in various ways. It's been something that I have been intentional about the last couple of years. And the first thing I think is important to realize is that, y'all, not everybody takes on this challenge. And so the mere fact that this is something that you have allowed, or this is something that you are willing to take on, it says a lot about, I don't know, just you as a person. And you can tell whether or not somebody has taken on their spiritual journey as you look over the course of their life. Like, think about the people that we know. And sadly, you can say, dang, that person's still the same person that they were when I was 5 years old. Or, you know, that person is still doing the same stuff or treating people the same way that they've been treating people for years. That, to me, is the number one indicator that a person has not engaged in a spiritual journey. My definition of a spiritual journey is, it's just a rebirth. And by rebirth, I mean, it's a journey that forces you to rid yourself of anything that you thought you were. It completely shatters and restructures the idea of an ego. It is the most difficult yet rewarding process ever. And I don't want to mislead anybody by also making you think that a spiritual journey is like this thing you go through once and then you done. No. Once you commit to the idea of spirituality and just evolving in a way that honors that connection throughout your lifetime, like, it is a never-ending process. Now, I will say, at least up until this point in my life, I feel like I had one major rebirth. And by rebirth, I mean like everything that I thought to be true, everything that I felt like defined me, all of it, like the rug was completely pulled from under my feet. Like, completely. It was moments during that process, y'all, that I really thought like, I'm not gonna make it through this.
You know how people say, as we heal, like it's like layers. And layers just fall off as we heal. I feel like for some reason, like, another layer was exposed. I think maybe because, I don't know.
Like, this is so emotionally draining. It is so overwhelming. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. This is for your girl. Like, I really had those moments. And that won't even on no, like, I felt like I was really like committed to the process. But much like so many other people, I'm finding, like, as I'm talking to people and kind of doing my best to encourage them through their own journey, we think shit gonna be sweet, and it's really not. Like, we really think because we say, okay, spirit, okay, God, okay, whomever, you know, we consider to be our spiritual guidance, we think that accepting the challenge, so to say, means that we got the upper hand, or that because we quote unquote surrender in that moment, that in return spirit will be like, all right, let me make this easy. All right, girl, let me just give you what you need to be a better person. Let me just give you the skill set that you need to be, you know, everything that this journey is meant to make you, or make out of you, make you out to be, so to say. And I'm here to tell anybody, that is like the complete opposite of how it works. The complete opposite of how it works. Whatever it is that is the core of your transformation or your journey is going to be the thing that you were challenged in the most. So for me, like I tell you all the time, it was my relationship. Or I don't even want to say it was my relationship, but it was the idea that I had to, like, that relationship defined me in a lot of ways. The feeling of like needing to be in a relationship, the feeling of I didn't have self-love back then, and I didn't realize that until, again, I was stripped naked. I had to let the relationship go. I moved back home. Like, all of the things that I felt like defined me, or you know, the fact that I had accomplished so much at a young age, and I feel like, you know, those were the things that kind of made me think I was further along in self than I really was. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, those accolades are good, but girl, you dealing with stuff that you can't say you got self-love dealing with certain stuff. You know what I mean? Or allowing certain stuff to pass. And that ain't only like in my relationship, just in general, like stuff that I allow, the way that I allow certain people to treat me, family, friends, whatever, it was all unacceptable, and it was all a reflection of just how badly I needed to go through this journey. And I was talking to a friend yesterday, and we were talking about like the spiritual journey, and you know, when you are trying to do differently, and you know, you want to interact with people differently, you want to set better boundaries, you want to have more self-control in terms of how you respond, that is when you will be tested the most. And you know, he was talking about, yo, like, I'm really trying to be a better person, but you know, this, that, and the third, and it's making me want to react in this way. Yeah, dude, that's how it happens. Like, the spiritual journey is meant to sit you in front of certain situations and say, okay, you committed to change. Let me see how you going. Let me see what other tricks you got in your bag. Let me see, all right, you used to handling a situation in this way, but you know now that that doesn't align with the person that you are evolving into. You know now right from wrong. That's a whole nother topic, like the idea of right and wrong. I believe that everything is just neutral in life. I really try to get away from the idea of labeling things right or wrong, because everything just is. Right and wrong is a reflection of our own morals and values, and we tend to assign, you know, good and bad to things, when really, if we think about life for what it is, which is a journey to a higher version of ourselves, we should be less inclined to label things as right and wrong. They're all a part of our journey, whether we like them or not. But what was I saying? Yeah, like when you are committed to doing things in a way that better aligns with your soul and who you were created to be, the things that you struggle with are the things that are used to build that muscle in you, to build a different muscle in you. And so let's say you are someone who, you know, you struggle with communication and being assertive. Part of your spiritual journey is going to be, you can be put in situations where you absolutely have to be assertive. Like, it'll be situations where if you do not assert yourself it's going to be like a matter of life or death at that point. If you are someone who has, you know, arguments with people a lot, and you say, you know what, I don't want to do this no more, like I don't even want to be this person no more, you will be put in situations where you got to choose whether or not you want to deal with it in a way that you would have in the past, or whether or not you want to go into your toolbox and try something different, try a different way of handling things. And furthermore, in those situations where you are forced to react or handle things in a way that may be uncomfortable or goes against the grain in terms of how you would usually handle things, those situations, it's not gonna feel good. Like, it is really going to, it's really the process of stripping you of your ego. And that ego is the thing within us that makes us feel like we the biggest and we the baddest. People shouldn't talk to us a certain way, and I'm gonna show this person who they messing with. That whole gamut of like emotions, those emotions that keep us stuck in ourselves, that keep us you know, placing ourselves on this high pedestal. And oftentimes it is also the thing that creates this discord within us, because it stops us from really hitting or seeing the heart of people, of other people, and really dying to this idea of us being superior in our existence on this earth. And, you know, so again, going back to my relationship, for me, dying to myself, a part of that was like having to face the fact that after being with somebody for 10 years, and like, y'all, even today when I talk to people, they say stuff like, oh my God, like, it seemed like y'all had the perfect relationship. Like, I aspired to have a relationship like y'all, and I never thought your relationship would end, and this, that, and the third. Like, yeah, me too, sis. And again, anytime that I talk about my relationship, and I hate, like, I still struggle, but that's a part of my spiritual journey, that to that ego of feeling like, you know, when I bring that up again, how it's perceived. But I also know that that situation is a large part of how I am required to show up in the world, because it's so many women that struggle with that, you know, acknowledging that when something has run its course, and, you know, being okay with walking away. And so because I have experienced that on such a deep level, I was with this man for 10 years. 10 whole years, and I was able to walk away from the situation. So that is now a part of my story, and it's built a muscle in me that, you know, I'm required to show up on this earth as a person that can speak to that. And I have to die to my ego in terms of worrying about how other people perceive that, because I know the progress I made. I know that, you know, I have seen him in passing, like in public, and it's like, I don't even know who that person is no more. Like, it doesn't affect me in that way anymore, but it still is a very important part of my story in terms of my spiritual growth. So what I was saying was, the very thing that has created this sense of identity in you is the very thing that God will use to break you down, in terms of relinquishing that control and really getting to the core of who you are, and not allowing you to continue to wear, you know, this mask of, you know, how you've shown up in the world up until this point. We've seen celebrities, they seem to be on top of the world, and then all of a sudden it's like their whole world comes crashing down around them. And, you know, we tend to place meaning in that situation by saying, oh, well, the people around them weren't really for them. You know, they had bad management, or financially, you know, they didn't have good people in their corner. But a lot of times that was just a part of their spiritual awakening. It was something that they had to go through, because for whatever reason, beside that they were, you know, giving us or showing us, no longer served them. And that's why I say again, like, really got to get away from this idea of things being good or bad. It's all subjective, meaning what I may see as bad to the next person may be the best thing that ever happened to them. For example, the pandemic. My heart goes out to the people that, you know, when they think about 2020, it was one of the worst years of their lives. But for me, I will always reference this 2020 as being the absolute best year of my life. No, things were not perfect at all. I had just moved back home, but that was time that I needed to really do some soul searching. And so for some people, you know, the idea of being home and having to be home was like the worst thing in the world. For me, it was necessary because I have a tendency, or I had a tendency to, you know, instead of working on or sitting in certain emotions, I would just get up and go do something, whether it be, you know, shopping or going, you know, out somewhere. That was my mojo. That was how I avoided certain emotions. And so being in a position where the world was kind of at a standstill, like I really had to sit in what I was feeling and, you know, figure some things out about me. And it was the absolute best year of my life. The pandemic in a lot of ways did not exist to me, meaning I was so like enmeshed in myself that year. Like, y'all know I don't watch the news anyway. And so not watching the news in 2020, it allowed me to really separate myself from everything that was going on around me. Like, a lot of times I forgot about the pandemic completely unless I went to the store and saw people wearing a mask. And I was like, oh yeah, that thing. Like, we still in the middle of this thing. But that was also a big part of my spiritual journey, relinquishing control. Feeling like I was in control in certain situations was something that had been detrimental to my relationship with the higher power. Because although I said, you know, I believe in, you know, God or spirit or universe, which to me is all the same, I still had a way about me where I felt like I could control certain situations. And that is the farthest thing from the truth. In the grand scheme of things, like, we have no control. As much control as we feel like we have in a situation, like I said, there's always a higher force that can come through and clear the room. And so that was one of the themes in terms of my spiritual growth in 2020. Like, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. You know, whether I watch the news 3-4 hours a day and allow that fear and, you know, that worry and that uncertainty to penetrate my soul, and then allow that to be how I show up in the world. Or, you know, whether I choose to read and feed my spirit more positive things so that on the other side of this thing, I'm coming out as a more evolved individual. And, you know, I don't know, it was just, it all went hand in hand. It was the strangest yet most beautiful thing I have ever experienced. Like, I get emotional sometimes when I think about it because I needed it. Like, I needed everything about 2020. It was such an amazing year. I made mistakes in 2020. I met new people in 2020. Me and Tiff, my cousin, like, our journeys merged so much in 2020, but it was so necessary. Like, I had the time of my life. You hear me? No, 2020 owes me absolutely nothing. I had the time of my life in 2020. And it was just it was necessary. It was a season that was necessary for my soul, y'all. And so, like, oh, what I was saying about the spiritual journey being never ending, like, 2020, I feel like was like the breakthrough. Like, that was really the year that broke me down. Or let me see, I think, I won't say 2020 was like the start of my spiritual journey, but it was really like the top of the mountain in my spiritual growth. In the years before, I had started to, you know, be stripped of certain things. But 2020 was really when it all started to, like, come together for me. I remember working out outside because, you know, the gyms had closed and stuff. And, like, I really felt like my soul being replenished. It was so, I had so much gratitude. It was so beautiful, y'all. Like, I had this gratitude journal, and this is something I have to get back to because it did a number for me. I had a gratitude journal every morning when I would get up. I would write in that gratitude journal things that I was thankful for, and then I would script. I told y'all before what scripting is, and I do have a video, I think, somewhere on this channel about what scripting is. But those two things, like, really, really, really just, they did it for me. Like, really processing the things that I was feeling, really taking control. No such thing as control. But yeah, really managing my thoughts and working through my thoughts as it applied to certain situations. It was such an amazing year. And so, 2021, going forward, like talking about my spiritual journey as it stands now, 2021, of course, there were some things that I was challenged with. I was at a point where I just wanted to have fun, and I did. But the thing about spirit is, if it's a lesson that you're supposed to learn, you're gonna learn it. And sometimes we create situations where we have to learn stuff the hard way, when we don't respond and acknowledge what's trying to be shown to us at first. But I'm the type of person, like, even in that, like, I don't regret anything, because there were lessons in my lessons, if that makes sense. Like, even in those situations where I knew, like, I'm telling y'all, situations where I knew, girl, stop playing. Like, you know better. Like, you know daggone well, whatever. Like, even in those situations, looking back, like, I can still see lessons. I can still, like, day by day, I think about something. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. You know, this is what that meant, or, you know, this is why that experience was necessary. So yeah, 2021 was pretty much, it was kind of laid back. Like, I don't know, like 2021 was like a blur to me. It was like I was still getting like caught up with my rest or whatever from 2020. I don't know, from 2020, I don't know. So then this year, I would say the end of 2021 and thus far in this year has been about unlearning a lot of things that I thought I knew, especially in terms of relationship. Now, y'all remember I said in 2020 I did a lot of scripting, and a lot of the scripting that I was doing was in regards to relationships and what I felt like I wanted and needed in a partner. And so the journey that I'm on now is like being, all right, so this is gonna be hard to explain for people that may not like fully buy into certain ideas of like spirituality. So there's this idea of certain people that we meet in our lives are meant to show us ourselves. They're our mirrors. They mirror like certain habits that we have, certain ways of thinking that we have, certain ways of existing that we have, right? They do things that cause us to realize that we do the same things. And when we do them, we feel justified in doing them. But this is how other people feel when you act this way, or when you say this, or when you withhold in this way. So yeah, I have met my mirror, like the male version of myself, in so many ways. And it's been such a beautiful journey. But no nonsense type of guy. Meaning, and I love this about him, I love the fact that he checks me in a way that is so loving. Remember when I was like meeting new guys and stuff, we was at my cousin Ro house, me, Ro, and Tiff, and we were talking. I think my mama and Tiff mama might have been there too. We was having like a girls' night, and the conversation came about, I feel like I was meeting men that were emotionally unavailable. And she brought it to my attention that I too was emotionally unavailable, but mine was in a way that was, I guess I was less aware of it because I felt justified in it. Meaning, when I would meet people, I would say, I'm not looking for a relationship. Like, we can be cool, we can hang out, whatever, but I'm not looking for a relationship. And I didn't realize that that was a form of being emotionally unavailable. I was so closed off because I didn't want to deal with the possibility of being heartbroken again, or I just wasn't willing to bend or compromise in certain areas. I was just content with everything being about me. But then I would meet people that were emotionally unavailable, and it would trigger the hell out of me. Like, it would really frustrate me or annoy me, but I was doing the same thing, just in my own way. And so that's kind of like what a mirror, like someone mirroring you is about. But in those moments, I really didn't understand that's what was happening. So yeah, it's been, I have experienced so much like spiritual growth this year, emotional maturity this year, maturity in terms of being a better person, a better partner. And by partner, I don't even mean like exclusively in romantic relationships, just in general. Like, I'm learning to be just a better friend, a better partner, a better person overall. Like, being more expressive about things, telling people how I feel more. It's just been, I don't know, like, I just really see God's hand in so much in my life, and I see how he is working on me in ways that I thought I was in a good place. And not to say, for what it's worth, like, I definitely know that up until this point I've made a enormous amount of progress, but that's the thing about spiritual growth, or the spiritual journey, is never ending. So just when you think, you know, you've made it to a checkpoint and you can like unlace your shoes and chill for a while, okay sis, it's time to work on the next thing. It's ever changing. Something will happen that will trigger a response in you that you thought you had under control, and then that is the indicator that this is something that you got to work through. So I think in one of my previous videos I had talked about how December last year I decided I wanted to go back to therapy, and I had just noticed a pattern of being dismissive of men. Like, it'd be one thing, it would, like, one thing would happen. It was almost like I was looking for that something that justified the fact that I felt like I wanted to be by myself anyway. And so I wasn't very open to the idea of, you know, a relationship or partnership is two people coming together. It's never going to be two people that come together and we got it all figured out. I know what your likes and needs are, you know what mine are, everything is peachy keen. Like, that would never happen. And so I really wanted to start working through, or at least understanding, why it was so easy for me to I was so content with being by myself. I remember one of the first conversations I had with my therapist when I went back. It was like the second session we had. I was telling her about that, like how it's just so much easier for me to be by myself. Like, the thought of like collaborating with someone in a relationship or like a male-female friendship was completely repulsive to me. Like, I had no interest in it. I just wanted to be in my own little world. And we were able to identify that as being like a trauma response. I felt safe by myself, you know? When it was just me and not dealing with nobody else, I didn't have to worry about anybody shaking the foundation of my emotional stability. I didn't have to worry about compromising. I didn't have to worry about those uncomfortable feelings that come about, you know, when you think something may be off with your partner. Like, I was just completely, I was over it. I didn't want to experience any of that stuff anymore. But one of the things that my therapist taught me was that you don't become a better steward over those emotions, or like you don't learn how to handle those emotions in a healthier way without going through experiences that cause those emotions to, you know, be on Front Street. She said, you know, something to the effect of, you don't learn how to get through something by backing away from it. So anything in life that poses as a threat or a challenge to us, the only way that we learn how to deal with those situations, or, you know, the only way that we disarm that as being a threat, is to walk towards it. We also brought up the fact that most people my age have experienced a number of relationships. And so for me, you know, being that I was in a relationship so long term, the experiences that I have now are necessary because I really don't have as much experience in terms of like relationships. But I'm thankful for my mirror, y'all. I'm so thankful for my mirror. He is just like such a good friend, and like I said, really in my ass about certain things in the most loving and caring and supportive way. And so all in all, I hope this video just encourages everyone to walk towards those things that make you uncomfortable. They are so necessary for your spiritual growth and your spiritual journey. And the thing about, I'll say this, as it stands today, what I was about to say, that I can't even support that. I was about to say I don't know that everybody is called to have, like, to go through a spiritual journey. I think everybody is called, but not everybody answers. And so those are the people that you see, like, they just go through life and they just nasty people. They bad, not good or bad. They just nasty. They are like, they just seem to be unhappy in their own skin. Like the people that you look at and you like, oh, like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you so nasty? Why are you so mean? Why are you so vile? Those are the people that, when it was time to go down that path of their spiritual journey, they decided to take another road. That's what I believe, because there's no way, like, you can go through a spiritual journey and see God's hand in everything that you experience and be like such a nasty person. That's just my belief. But yeah, lean into those things that make you uncomfortable, those emotions, those opportunities to grow that make you uncomfortable, because I'm telling you, like, it's so beautiful. And that's not to say that as I'm learning and being further stripped of myself, it's not always comfortable. But I find so much comfort in being uncomfortable, because I know that as I continue in my journey, as I continue to work on myself, it's only making me a better person. And every level that I feel like I've reached as I've continued to do the work, the level beyond that is just, it's even more amazing than the peak that I thought I had reached before that one. So yeah, I just wanted to chat with y'all. I don't know. So I think I'm about to get off of here. I don't know if I'm gonna edit this video now or if I'm gonna work on some other stuff that I need to work on. I really want to shower and get back in bed, but I feel like I need to take advantage of the fact that I'm up. I gotta go to work. I'm gonna leave here around 5 today. Get to work around 6. So it might be like 2 o'clock now. Maybe a little bit after 2. So I got like 3 hours where I could really get some stuff done. I don't know. But yeah, so let me tell y'all. So some of the books that I read on my spiritual journey, like at the beginning of 2020 that I feel like really helped me. I can't think of the authors, but the first one I would say would be The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. That was a really good book. The Secret, I always recommend that as being, I think The Secret is a good starting point, because it really helps us understand the power of our thoughts and the power of our words. And that's why, like, I am very, very, very cautious of the things that I speak life over. 3 Magic Words. Now that one, I would say it really requires you to be open in terms of spirituality. If you're someone that is very much, if you're not open to other religions or other ways of thinking, like if you consider yourself to be like highly religious opposed to like spiritual, that wouldn't be a good book for you, because it really requires you to be open-minded. What's another book? Charlemagne the God's book. The one where he like laid back in the chair. I did a book review on that. That was a really good book too. Iyanla Vanzant, any of her books, stellar. I can't can't think of any more off of the top, but if I think of them when I'm editing this video, I'll be sure to add them because I save all of my books on this app. So I'll be able to go and look back at the app and add any ones that I left out. But yeah, reading is definitely something that helped me a lot. Looking at different YouTube videos of other people who, may have went through a spiritual journey or that just offer different perspectives on stuff. That's always helpful. Therapy, of course, journaling. That was a very important part of my spiritual journey too. It's also something that I need to get back to. I am gonna get back to. So yeah, just, I always say life is a journey, not a destination. So just enjoy it. Like, enjoy those things about yourself that you don't have completely figured out. Like, enjoy that process of learning more about like yourself. It's such a beautiful process, y'all. But I'm about to get off of here and figure out what I'm doing next. I will talk to y'all in my next video.